their products, and yet the Trix rabbit, despite being on the box itself, can never enjoy Trix.
Is that true, though?
It's so weirdly hard.
I feel like most mascots for cereal don't get to actually eat it. For example, the leprechaun. Defeat the Trix rabbit story. See this Trix yogurt thing, or Trix rabbit thing.
For a long time, it gave me nightmares.
Do you like Trix? It's alright. He's tier 1 Ethan.
Silly rabbit, Trix are for kids.
There's a clip from a stand-up comedian set.
How come they just couldn't give him some cereal?
Oh, it's from Fresh Prince.
Who's ready to overanalyze some Saturday morning commercials? There are
I didn't even
many
recognize
different
that.
ways to advertise a product, but the end goal is always the same. You want people to buy it. You have to put it in the public eye to make consumers remember it. One of the best ways to do this is with a clever ad campaign, or a memorable mascot. Well, there have been mascots...
favorite cereal... We did a cereal tier list, but I'll just sum it up. My favorites are Raisin Bran, Corn Pops, Honey Smacks, and... fuck, why am I blanking on the last one? Give me a little bit nothing of it, but those are definitely... I think those are absolute bangers.
Mascots aimed at adults, sometimes with interesting results. The majority of mascots appear to be more aimed at the family market, specifically kids. And today, we're going to talk about one of the most sympathetic mascots to ever exist. A silly rabbit who just wants a bowl of cereal. Trix cereal was introduced by General Mills in 1954 as a sweet, fruity variation of their Kix.
It's mediocre, it's not bad.
Not to be confused with Berry Berry Kix, which came later. There were 3 colors, red, yellow, and orange, and the shapes were simple.
Raisin Bran is good. The only people that don't like Raisin Bran are people that never tried it.
I could only find a couple, but they pretty much just...
If Raisin Bran renamed themselves, they would be a bestseller.
A generic rabbit also appeared in the boxes around this time, but if any commercials were recorded with him, I can't find them. In 1959, a new rabbit character was created for General Mills by artist Joe Harris. Although he looked less zany and expressive than we know him to be today, the commercial set up what was to be a lifelong of agony for our furry friend.
What I love is Trix.
No.
The rabbit explains his love of Trix, but then
such a simple time
when he remembers that Trix are for kids.
Yeah, and that fruit flavor. I like them better than anything. What's the matter with him?
I'm sad because Trix are for kids.
This is such a weird way of advertising the product.
Very. But clearly it worked. The rabbit
is fucking sad.
In boxes and became the one and only recurring character.
This looks like that old pedo bear
always
thing.
Pitted against some cruel, unfeeling children.
Not this.
He was originally voiced by Mort Marshall, with Russell Horton taking over in the mid-70s. A few particularly nasty commercials from this period include one where the rabbit goes to sleep, hoping to at least have some tricks in his dreams, only for the dream to turn into a nightmare. Not even in his
Jesus Christ.
Happy for long.
Who wrote this?
He volunteers to go
Edgar
to
Allan
space
Poe?
for NASA. Remember, this was during the space race. And he asks only for a box of Trix as payment. The brief moment where he realizes he can't eat the Trix with his helmet on is heartbreaking. To add insult to injury, some alien kids snatch the cereal a second later. This commercial was remade in 1993 where the rabbit went to Mars, with the same
Raisin Bran Crunch is my favorite of Raisin Bran.
A vote was held to determine whether or not the rabbit should be allowed a bowl of Trix. Although I can't find a commercial related to that event, the result was a positive one, and the rabbit finally got to eat some Trix.
Woohoo!
The campaign was repeated in 1976,
then he immediately gets diabetes.
1980, and 1991 with the same outcome. Since the ads were all about 30 seconds long, he always cuts right to the chase and asks for a bowl of Trix. The kids cheerfully oblige, and the rabbit gets so swept up in excitement that his disguise falls off. Cue the silly rabbit Trix over kids bit, and the rabbit makes a little quip trying to hide how much his soul has really been crushed. Despite the repeated notion that Trix are for kids,
meta is ruined for me now. Why would happen?
Figures.
So why Trix?
If Bugs Bunny himself couldn't pull it off, no one could. However, his master plan.
So it seems like it's less Trix are for kids and more Trix aren't for that rabbit.
And we all know how well those
They're
worked out in the
racist.
past. Indeed, the rabbit failed yet again, and Bugs watched him from a distance with his own bowl of Trix. Yes, somehow Bugs got the cereal and didn't share. That's harsh, man. This is why I'm a Daffy Duck person. He's greedy, but at least he's open about it. Then there was one commercial where the rabbit disguised himself as an actual little rabbit, which of course didn't work. I'm not really sure what his reasoning here was. If the kids weren't going to give cereal to a cartoon rabbit, why would they give any to a real one? One last commercial from the mid-'80s that stuck out to me was one where the rabbit, in
How did he
sheer
find
desperation,
this many
puts on an
commercials?
nonsensical disguise only for a couple of nice kids
God
to
damn.
genuinely
I guess
offer them some
archive.org.
Trix. A similar commercial was done a few years later with Trixland, where all rabbits could eat Trix to their heart's content. Of course, it was too good to be true. This idea was repeated again in 2011 because the rabbit could never find solace even in his sleep.
They're still using
In
this?
1988, a Western-themed commercial had the rabbit, disguised as always, about to eat some Trix when a suspicious kid asks him his name. The rabbit freezes as he, and perhaps the audience, realizes he doesn't actually have one. It's up to the kids out there to submit their own names for the rabbit. This was a fun, exciting idea. I wasn't born at the time, but I'm sure I would have tried to figure out a suitable name for the rabbit, and I'm sure many kids did and submitted their ideas.
I remember hearing about that.
Unfortunately, the actual follow-up for the commercial simply had a messenger child hand the rabbit a scroll of paper that apparently had a name on it. Before we even find out what the name was, the rabbit lets his true identity slip, and that's the end of the commercial. It appears they never intended to give him a name or take suggestions from the audience.
They should do that again.
Kids probably
Gushing grannies would make a comeback. I used to have Trix yogurt every morning.
Of course, he didn't fare well with the yogurt either. And unlike the cereal, I don't think he's ever even had a spoonful of the yogurt.
Actually, hold on. I want to look this up. Is Trix yogurt still around? Trix yogurt kind of slapped, if I'm being honest. It is still around, and they even still have the classic flavors. This one in particular was a banger. What is this one? Trix yogurt was on a whole nother level. Strawberry banana. Yeah, this was so fucking good. I had a standard breakfast every morning before school. I'd have my banana strawberry Trix yogurt. I'd have a raisin bagel and like a half a raisin bagel, and then I had oh god, what were they called? Wafers, right? Vanilla wafers. That's what it's called. I think that's what they are. Vanilla wafers. God damn, I was ready to fuck. That breakfast will get you fired up.
Emphasize the product's mix of bright colors, with most of the commercials through the years showing black and white worlds getting outrageous makeovers, thanks to the power of Trix. Continuing his escalation of thefts, the rabbit accompanied a group of kids on a safari the next year and stole their entire supply of Trix cereal and yogurt. When the kids point out he forgot to steal their spoons, the rabbit is about to fess up the hiding place when he gets hit with a coconut, rendering all his words into gibberish. Ah, head injuries, the pinnacle of comedy. The only way to see the outcome of this little arc was on the General Mills website, and thanks to the wonder of the Wayback Machine, we can see the poorly done Flash animated finale where the hiding place is revealed. In 2007, the fruit-shaped cereal reverted back into its original puff form, most likely as a cost-cutting measure. While it didn't change the taste one bit, I can't help but admit I was kind of disappointed myself since I had grown up with the fruit shapes. The shapes would return in 2018, and I was probably more excited than someone my age should be about this kind of thing. I haven't found any commercials for Trix past 2015. I don't watch a lot of cable TV thanks to the power of internet streaming, so either they're not getting uploaded online, or they've stopped making Trix ads. I found a set of commercials from around 2015 that were called The B-Team, where the Trix Rabbit and other General Mills mascots are roommates. The commercials emulate that bright, in-your-face aesthetics and style of Adventure Time and The Amazing World of Gumball, but they lack the wit and charm of those cartoons, so they come off as obnoxiously lol-so-random with no other substance to back them up.
Perfect.
If you've seen that Wendy's commercial with the memer, it's unfortunately a lot like that. One of the most
pretty good commercial
I found had the rabbit stealing the world's supply of Trix cereal and yogurt and blasting off into space. Although a group of kids are pursuing him, there's no clear resolution to the ad, so I like to think that's how the Trix saga ends. The rabbit has been deprived of a simple joy so long that he retaliates by depriving us of the same thing.
That's poetic. That's pretty deep.
Watching nearly 100 commercials in a row for the same product with the same outcome, of course, is different than seeing one a day. I stared into the fruity abyss and it began to stare back. I began to lose my sympathy for the rabbit, wanting for him to just cut his losses and move on. But I guess when you've devoted so much of your life to one single thing, it's hard to back.
Darman's too self-aware now.
It's a shame because the rabbit seems to be a multi-talented individual, and if he just dropped his cereal hang-up, he could definitely find success elsewhere. Obviously, the rabbit has always been shown to use trickery or deceit to obtain the Trix. When he's not shown straight up trying to steal it, he's trying to mooch off the kids eating it, and yeah, that's unflattering behavior. If you were to approach a stranger and ask them for a bite of their food, you'd be in the wrong there. However, the kids in the commercials are shown to be happy to share with whoever wants some of their cereal, and only refuse it when they realize they're talking to the rabbit.
Yeah, we can maybe do
And the
dramatize
fact that
me.
one very memorable Got Milk commercial showed the rabbit using an elaborate human disguise just to buy a box of Trix suggests that he's been refused service when he's tried to get the cereal the honest way. An old promotional comic from the 60s showing him getting kicked out of the supermarket supports this theory. Basically, society drove the rabbit to steal Trix. I think we could be seeing a potential Joaquin Phoenix
Thanks,
role
resub
here.
Dinkler.
Outside of the commercials, the Trix rabbit appeared as a puppet in an hour-long VHS tape called The Magic Secrets Video, where he and other General Mills characters learned how to do magic tricks from professional magicians. An animatronic rabbit can be seen playing with Lucky the Leprechaun and the Honey Nut Cheerios bee at Jungle Jim's
is
International
cute.
Market in Ohio. And in 2008, 3 7-minute webtoons were produced featuring the rabbit and a new cast of characters. They're nothing special, but they got the occasional chuckle out of me, and it was nice seeing the rabbit actually succeed at something, even if it wasn't in eating his beloved cereal.
Oh,
While the
didn't mean
commercials
to
of the
pause.
Trix rabbit might eternally frustrate us, they're a brilliant bit of
Yeah, I
marketing.
saw the new Spider-Man
From its
trailer.
first
Not as good
appearance,
as Trix Rabbit.
Everyone felt the rabbit's pain. This had to be some great cereal if he was so bent out of shape about it.
It's
The
mediocre,
logic
it's alright.
is that he might not
okay.
be able to enjoy it, and there's nothing that we, the audience, can really do to help him. But we can at least take some comfort in knowing that we can eat the cereal ourselves. There are plenty of mascots who can freely enjoy their products, and yet the Trix rabbit, despite being on the box itself, can never enjoy Trix.
Is that true, though?
It's so weirdly hard.
I feel like most mascots for cereal don't get to actually eat it. For example, the Leprechaun. They're always after me Lucky Charms. They always steal that shit from him. Even though, like, it's his shit. They come in there and they just take that right out of his hand. Tony the Tiger can? Oh yeah, it's great. Tony the Tiger for one day was the #1, like, furry sex icon on Twitter. Then they had to remove his Twitter account. They made a Tony the Tiger Twitter account, and people drew so much porn of him with big cock that they just removed it. I miss those days. That was good marketing.
Heartbreaking. And that is why the silly rabbit, the lovable loser, the Charlie Brown of the cereal world, will always have a very special place in our hearts.
Exit 2 gives subs Honey
We
Bear,
can only
resub
hope that
Golden
someday
Chief.
he will have a literal taste of victory that will last longer than a few seconds.
Does the Fruit Loops bird Toucan Sam ever get to eat his shit?
Some cereal. All I wanted was some cereal.
He does? That was interesting. I have to take a fat shit now. That really got me going. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go shit. Luckiest unlucky man to ever live.
A fault with the line caused his train to jump the track and plunge into the freezing river below.
Hey, fuck
While other
yeah.
passengers were killed in the crash or drowned in the sinking wreckage, suffering a broken arm.
We've
Frayne
seen this
managed to
story.
escape and swim
I
to
couldn't
shore.
tell you. It doesn't ring any bells.
Little did Frayne know at the time, but this incident marked the beginning of a series of bizarre events that would occur over the next 40 years of his life. The following year, while traveling aboard a small plane bound for Rijeka, disaster struck for a second time. Mid-flight, both engines stopped.
He needs to just stop
cabin
taking
pressure
public
dropped,
transportation.
And the plane began losing altitude. You might have thought that this was probably the worst thing that could have happened, but you'd be wrong. While the plane plummeted towards the ground, a malfunctioning door blew off, and poor Frayne was sucked out of the aircraft.
What?
Tumbling through the air without a parachute,
Wait, are you
Frayne
fucking
must have
serious?
thought he was a goner.
Wait, that's amazing.
But while the plane crashed into the side of a hill, killing all 19 on board, Frayne somehow managed to land in a haystack and survived with only minor.
This is absolutely not true. No fucking way. Oh, Frayne. That was Frank. He's still alive, too! The next year, during his first and only plane ride, he was blown out of a malfunctioning plane door and landed in a haystack. Well, what plane crash was this? Every plane crash is very well reported on. Which one was this? This could all very well be a lie. What plane crash was this? Every single plane crash, like ever, on a commercial airliner is reported. For obvious reasons. It was 1966. It doesn't change anything. Wow, there was a lot of plane crashes in 1963. Holy shit. Okay, I'll just assume that one might be true. That's a lot of plane crashes.
2 years went by before Frayne's next brush with death. This time, while traveling by bus, ice on the road.
Stop traveling, Frayne!
And the vehicle skidded through the safety guard and into the valley below. 4 passengers were killed, but not Frayne. Tired, or perhaps terrified, of public transport, Frayne began to travel mostly by car.
Good call.
But that didn't seem to help either.
Should have done
In
skateboard,
1970,
maybe.
his car engine burst into flames, but Frayne was able to jump free before it exploded. Then, 3 years later, in 1973, the fuel pump in his new car ruptured, causing another engine fire. But this time, the flames were blown straight at him through the air vents. Needless to say, he survived this too, albeit with less hair than he began with. In 1995, he survived being hit by a bus. And in 1996,
This guy's awesome.
his truck driver forced him off the side of a mountain road. His car plunged 300 feet and exploded in a ball of flames. But Frayne wasn't in it. Having somehow jumped out of the window, he was found clinging to a tree some way down the cliff face.
Frayne is like a fucking perfect stunt man. He's mastered the art of diving out of exploding vehicles.
Frayne bought a lottery ticket, his first one in over 40 years. He won the jackpot, safely securing his place as the luckiest unlucky person to ever live.
That's good. The universe gave him a little something. He won $1.1 million. Wow. Fucking cool story, I guess. Good for you, Frayne. That's pretty incredible. Man went for the full luck build. Yeah, except it malfunctioned. It was always in like the worst situations that his luck would kick in. If he went for the full luck build, he would have never been in any of these situations. Thanks, a recent vibe. The prime Uber driver. It was a late game build. True. That was interesting. It's all a lie. He paid a journalist to write a fake story. That's what I was kind of thinking. It sounds pretty fake, but who knows? It's hard to prove one way or the other. That plane crash is apparently in the database. One of them had 19 out of 20. And I think the bus and train would also be reported as well. But he also just couldn't... He also may have just not been on there. Man wins lottery on... Didn't we see this? What was it? It was after reenacting, right? Yeah, we saw this, right? It's this one.
That scratch driver was crushed in an accident. 12 months to treat it. He slipped into a...
I mightn't survive this.
Thanks, Mr. Bulfonzo.
And at 37, I've got so much to look forward to.
He didn't know it, but that included an engagement, a new job, the new car, and even more good luck when we asked Bill to reenact buying his scratchy ticket.
I just won 250,000. I'm not joking. You're not, are you? Really? I just won 250,000. Oh, please don't come with me.
You have to. Give us a congratulations, Bill. How are you? Fantastic. Whoa.
That's so sweet.
It's just...
I think I'll have another heart attack.
Bill had told the agency owners he'd keep buying scratchies until he won the cash.
Can you believe this man's luck? No. I'm in shock. I'm still shaking.
For a man who last year lived in a caravan, the sudden windfall inspired dreams he wanted to share with his fiancée.
I won 250,000, honey.
No.
I have.
Yeah, I've seen this before, but it's been a
I
while.
got that new house.
But Lisa...
That's cute. Why does Jeff Koons' balloon dog cost $58 million? So it's just a piece of modern art? These are pretty good explanations. Maybe Prime Magic Man. The resub Hazel. It's like an old television intro. Nice. Should I watch Arcane if I don't know anything about League? Yeah. I would say so. It doesn't have, like, any League-only things. Tiana doesn't play League or know anything about it, and she really liked it. There's really nothing in common with Arcane and League other than some of the characters from the game being in the show. Everything else is pretty original to Arcane. Ever done acid or anything? Nah, I never want to do any of that shit, because those seem scary. You hear those horror stories about someone who trips acid one time and then they become a completely different person? I wouldn't want to risk it. I'd do acid one time and then I'd come out and be like fucking Jake Paul or something. Can't even complete like a normal sentence. What if you come out as a genius? Yeah, I trip so hard it raises my IQ. That'd be pretty cool.